it's just an example. Purdue losing to Fresno State is okay. We still win Big Ten West. Me,
Billy Napier gets fired.
really the best time of the year. I would be seated watching Red Zone for 7 hours on Sunday. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode of Backyard Banter. Johnny, James, and Tanner. There will be no breaking news this episode, guys. We're going to have a normal episode as we break down what was a pretty big weekend. Obviously, first weekend of NFL, week 2 of college, which the slate wasn't as good, but there were still some big-time games. We'll obviously get to James in a second, but we're going to start with the helmet game of the week, but it turned out to be an absolute obliteration, really. Texas goes into the big house. And excuse my language here, but just does belt to ass to Michigan. I mean, that game was not even close from the jump. So, I mean, James, we'll start with you. I mean, what did you think of that game? And I mean, do you think Texas is like the favorite to win the national championship right now?
You know, I think it's a great question. And I was actually going to ask you guys that same thing just because they look so dominant. And I was actually Friday night, I was talking to a big Michigan fan who, you know, we talked all last season about, you know, the Wolverines, and obviously this season we've been talking a little bit here and there, but we kind of knew going into this game that Texas was by far the better team. And he even said, he's like, I would unload on Texas. And I said, okay. And when fans, especially Michigan fans, right, like it's a good program, they just won the Natty, they know that they can produce a good team. When they're even knowing that Texas is going to come in and you know, work them, then it shows something. Quinn Ewers, I said it in the preview, is going to be the difference maker, and he was. I mean, 24 for 36 with 3 tuds. But the Texas defense was just stopping Michigan the entire day. Tanner and I were at a Cubs game for half the game, but I came back and watched the highlights because we were able to watch the first half. But the game was never a football game. Who would have thought? I mean, this Texas-Michigan last season would have been a much better game. And Michigan won the Natty last season. So like Michigan just took such a step down, and it's unfortunate. Obviously it's just like most teams, it's week 2. Let's not overreact too much, but I mean, I'm not big on Michigan anymore. I don't see how many people can trust in the Wolverines right now. But shout out to Texas, because Texas has officially put themselves on the map to possibly win a national championship. They're up there in that conversation, and you can't deny it. So I do agree with the question, because you have to consider them when you're talking about national championship favors. Texas has to be in the conversation. So,
yeah, I agree with you on most of those points there. I wasn't very high on Michigan coming in this season. I didn't have them in my playoff. I didn't have them in the Big Ten championship, but Texas, that's a team that I'm very, very high on, have been all preseason. When we talked about him last week previewing this game, I said Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback in the country. And he went out there and he proved me right. I think that right now he is the best quarterback in the country. Texas, their O-line is unbelievable. The talent they have in the skill positions offensively is unbelievable. Defensively, again, D-line, just different dudes on that D-line, just NFL bodies, making a Michigan O-line that every year is going to be big and physical and really good. They made a Michigan offensive line, look incompetent. When are you ever going to see that when the team plays Michigan? And Texas, they just had them outmatched in every phase of the game. Every skill group, every position group in the trenches, every single thing Texas was better than Michigan at. And at the end of the day, I would agree with you. Texas, to me right now, probably is the favorite to win the national championship, and I'm just not very high on Michigan.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, but in my preview, I think we all had very good previews for this game, by the way. Yeah. I think we were all pretty spot on. My preview was that Davis Warren is the starting quarterback for Michigan, and Michigan didn't want him to be. They wanted Alex Orji to go in and take that spot, and he didn't. And there was a few times early in the game where like Michigan would bring in Alex Orji, and Texas would just put 9 people in the box because they knew he wasn't going to throw. And all year last year, Michigan was dominant on their offense and defensive line. And all I heard from Michigan people going to this game was oh, we're going to dominate up front. Michigan ran for 82 yards, 3.7 yards a carry. Texas ran for over a buck 40. Michigan did not have a sack in the game. It's just stuff like that that completely changes the game. And this game was not even close. Texas had a 13-play, 70 whatever yard drive to open the game, and they missed a field goal. Like even from that first drive, it was like, oh, like they can't score. And then Davis Warren, man, I mean, like it's a cool story, walk on to being the starting quarterback in Michigan, but I mean, he's not any good. As Tanner leaves, he'll be back. Tanner's experiencing some Wi-Fi issues. So am I. I'll put Ben on blast. Their Wi-Fi blows, and I'm on my hotspot right now. And Tanner's
come down to Jacksonville. It's better. It's better down
Illinois
here.
College knows what's going on, but that was the biggest takeaway for me. Michigan was such a dominant team last year in the trenches. That's where they live. That's where they thrive. They could run the ball on anyone. We saw them put them in a choker hold and put Penn State to sleep by running the ball like 40 straight times. They did not do that. They couldn't do that against Texas because, frankly, Donovan Edwards is the most overrated player in college football. He's on the cover of College Football 25, and he has been awful through 2 games. 41 yards in the game on Saturday. And then, like you guys said about Quinn Ewers, I would still take Carson Beck over him, but I mean, it's like picking between ice cream and ice cream cake. They're both good, both going to satisfy. And I'll say cookie cake. I'm a big cookie cake guy. But for Texas, absolutely Texas going to the national championship. They go 7 deep at the receiver. They have a top 3 quarterback in the country, and they lose their 2 best running backs in fall camp. Oh, by the way, Jaden Blue, I know he didn't have the best statistical numbers in that game, but when you watch that guy, it goes like, wow, he looks a little bit different. He pops off the screen. And then, Tanner, you mentioned that D-line. That D-line is as legit as it comes. I absolutely think Texas can not only win the national championship, I think in this loaded SEC that has 7 teams in the top 10, I mean, or 6 teams in the top 7, that's what they have. I think Texas right now should be favored to go win the SEC. So that's how high I'm on Texas. I picked Texas to win the SEC in the preseason. I am obviously sticking with that pick. And that Texas-Georgia game that's going to happen sometime in October is going to be absolute cinema. But, there's the Texas. I mean, Tanner, you're right. None of us was high on Michigan. I didn't have Michigan in the playoff. I had Michigan losing at least 4 games. And now that USC is better and USC comes to the big house in a few weeks, I think, again, that's going to be another whooping. You can see, I mean, there's some stuff you can just see. And you don't got to be football experts to kind of know this team doesn't look like it did last year. You don't lose 13 guys that got drafted to the NFL and come be an elite team the next year. And to be honest, Sharon Moore looks completely over his head right now. It doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. He's not even calling plays right now. And he called plays for that great team last year. So I think Sharon Moore is over their head. And I think Michigan is in for a really tough year in that new Big Ten. But it's enough talk about a fun game. Let's get to some more depressing matters. If we had a mini violin, I would play it. James, I learned some interesting stuff about the University of Notre Dame today when I was running this morning. I heard, I'm not even going to say it's a rumor. I'm not going to be mean. It's just straight fact. Marcus Freeman has lost 3 times when he's been a 2-touchdown favorite or more at home, Notre Dame. Yep. That hadn't happened in like 40 years but before that. To be completely honest, it's not a good look. So I'm going to let you explain that. And I'm sorry if I drop out here because I need to change off my hotspot. So
James, no, it's okay. I mean, if you missed the segment, you'll watch it live on YouTube maybe. But it's a new segment we're actually starting here at Backyard Banter. I'd like to introduce you guys to Welcome to the Hot Seat. It's where we break down college coaches and we welcome them to the hot seat. And I was with Tanner. The Cubs just got shut out. I had to watch this pitiful game of football. Who would have thought that the Cubs were the least of my concern after watching what I was watching on the TV with Northern Illinois? I'm from DeKalb. If you don't know, I'm from DeKalb. Northern Illinois is the college in that town, but it's not like a big thing, right? Like I can count on my hand how many football games I've been to because Northern Illinois is not supposed to be good at football. They had a few years in there where they had Jordan Lynch, who was Heisman, yada, yada, yada. They went and got boat raced by Florida State in the Orange Bowl. That's about all they got, right? In 2014 NCAA football, they were ranked. That's the highlight of Northern Illinois football. You look at Notre Dame and you look at Marcus Freeman, and I've said it on this podcast. I do like Marcus Freeman. I think he's a hell of a defensive mind. I thought he was a fantastic defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, and I thought that jump to head coach was going to be perfect for him. But I'm worried I was mistaken. Marshall, Stanford 2 years ago. Last year, Louisville, a bad Clemson team. Those are 4 losses. I bet you those 2 losses that were double-digit touchdown, 2 of them were in there. It has to be. I mean, Marshall for sure, right?
It's
And now you
Marshall,
got
and then
yeah.
this one.
But again, Marshall and Stanford in the same year. You look at Louisville and Clemson last season, and now we start off week 2 with a hot old bang. We got Northern Illinois Huskies, right? Go Dogs! Apparently, they come in and they beat Notre Dame. So I'm upset. Riley Leonard, I talked about it after week 1. By the way, Texas A&M. After watching that Notre Dame game, Texas A&M is so fraudulent. That game is so overhyped.
Like, see, they play Florida this weekend.
Florida's going to boat race them. Florida's going to boat race them. Okay. Because if Notre Dame could beat A&M, so can Florida. Okay. So Notre Dame, they go and get Riley Leonard, who was supposed to be good, right? He was awful. He was god awful. Notre Dame hasn't had a good quarterback since I was 5 years old, right? His name was Brady Quinn, and that doesn't even blow people's minds away. But 2006 was the last time Notre Dame had a competent quarterback who was like a good quarterback, right? He might have finished like top 5 in Heisman voting that year, like dog, okay? We have a running back named Jeremiah Love, who was the difference maker in the A&M game, and truthfully, a difference maker in this loss, but you're telling me he only gets the ball 11 times? In what world do you only hand the ball to your best running back, truthfully, your best offensive player, 11 times? I am so disappointed. We got a new offensive coordinator. We paid him $2 million, and he's going to give the ball to Jeremiah Love 11 times. Jeremiah Love and Riley Leonard had the same amount of carries. I understand they're not designed carries, so whatever, but they both had 11 carries each. Vice versa, you look at the defense, okay? We allowed up, 200 rushing yards against a MAC team? Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? It is such a disappointing loss. I was in shambles. Like, if we did the in shambles, I would be number 1 by far. People were coming up to me at the bar asking if I was okay. I said no, I was not okay. Okay? Because now I have to watch this team for 10 more weeks, and guess what? If they win 10 in a row, they're probably in. But I can't say that for certainty. And that hurts. Like an 11-1 Notre Dame team probably gets in, right? But it's like now you look at the schedule, and it's so easy that they have no room for error. Okay? They have 2 tough games. They have Florida State and they have USC. Next week is not a tough game. Go into Purdue and boat race them. Like, if I'm Purdue, I'm nervous, okay? I am nervous because of what just happened. So I'm going to stop. But this new segment that we just started at Backyard Banter, who knows? If I'm good enough at editing, I'll put a nice graphic right before I say it. It's called Welcome to the Hot Seat. And Marcus Freeman, you just earned spot number 1 on Welcome to the Hot Seat. Someone else talk about this game because I can't.
Yeah, James, I'll talk about Notre Dame. Their offensive line is terrible right now, which is hard to believe for Notre Dame because they're always going to have a good offensive line. But I am shocked as well with Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard, was supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he's been terrible. And he's not making I've seen this clip so many times on Twitter of that interception he threw, like just underthrown by 10 yards. A guy, he had him open, just underthrown. And he's supposed to be a threat with his legs, and he's like hesitant to run the ball. So my thing with Riley Leonard is did the name on your chest, did that jersey that you're putting on now just put pressure on you all of a sudden? Because that's all I can think of. Because at Duke, he was really, really good. And Duke plays a similar schedule to Notre Dame in football because they're in the ACC. And Notre Dame plays against ACC teams. But I'm shocked. I'm shocked, to say the least. To be quite honest, I'm frustrated. I wanted Notre Dame to be 2-0, ranked 5th in the country, coming to play Purdue, and they're not anymore. Now they're coming off a loss. And, yeah, you have every right to be pissed off. You have every right to be mad. I don't blame you for that. I'm not going to sit here and clown you for the loss just because, I've had a couple tough ones in my day and others.
I've gotten enough of it.
Oh, my goodness. I forget.
So yeah, I
But,
can't really sit here and do that, but
No,
yeah,
they
I'm
lost in they
shocked.
lost in the bar, and Tanner comes up to me. He's like, "Dude, I had Fairleigh Dickinson." Like, and I'm like, I know, but like, I don't want to be in that conversation. But one thing, Johnny, before you talk about this game, I forgot to mention the interception. Here's the thing: Riley Leonard, in no right shape or form, should have ever been throwing the football on 2nd and 1, 5 minutes left in the game with the lead. Like I mentioned, we have a great running back. His name is Jeremiah Love. Okay. He will be the difference maker on Saturday against Purdue. Okay. But why don't you give him an opportunity on 2nd and 1 and instead you throw a pick? But Johnny, go ahead, please.
there's a lot of things to say. First, James Tanner went up to James about 6 times on Saturday, but because we were all finally back together this weekend, which was fun. We were getting to NFL later, but we got to watch some good NFL together. And Tanner was just like, "I have JMU, James. It's not that bad. You'll get over it." And anyway, but like before I get into Riley Leonard, I think is a great human. I love his message. He has a great message. He's very upfront about his faith, which is very difficult to do as a prolific college athlete. And, I respect him for that. But my God, he cannot throw a football. And I think people kind of overrate Riley Leonard. And trust me, I'm in that. That I overrated Riley Leonard coming into this season. But outside of like Jaden Daniels, and I don't even want to count Caleb Williams because he just followed Lincoln Riley. Like, when do you go see a transfer quarterback go and just like crazy succeed and take and improve by like 2 or 3 steps? Because that's what Riley Leonard would have had to do as a passer in order to be really an above average passer. At Duke, he became really good because he beat Clemson in that opening weekend game when everyone was watching, and he played his heart out against Notre Dame before he got hurt. He did most of that with his legs. And he was never this like prolific passer. Granted, he's not as bad as he is now, but he was never this bad. So that's the thing that concerns me most about Riley Leonard. But for Notre Dame, I mean, Marcus Freeman, like, what are we doing? This can't happen. I mean, you're at home. Like, it's the same thing with Florida. When Florida loses these games, like Florida and Notre Dame are on the same tier. You cannot lose these games. Like, your brand means something. Like, that stadium is packed out for a reason. You can't lose at home to Northern Illinois. Like, their coach is crying on the field after beating you guys. And frankly, like, Notre Dame is not elite anywhere on their team outside their secondary. And I think that is a massive, massive thing that's going to come up because they don't have elite receivers. They haven't had an elite receiver. James, you would know more than me. A decade, an elite.
We were just talking about. I mean, you think of Notre Dame receivers like what's his name
Ben
on the
Ferrani?
Rams? Yeah, exactly. He's a bum. He's a bum. But
Golden
he was
Tate.
he. Well, yeah, but like
he got
that's
one.
what year is that? I mean,
Like,
now we're dating ourselves.
And it's not.
Now we're
it's
dating
not like
ourselves.
Golden Tate. Like, Golden Tate was a good receiver. Like, Golden Tate wasn't lighting the world on fire in college either. Like,
No.
I think he had a better pro career than he did college career. And don't you dare put hate on Malik Zaire. It's my boy, Notre Dame legend, Florida Gator legend, Malik Zaire. But
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame has massive questions on their offensive line. And look, they're starting a freshman. But I mean, it's just bad. I mean, this should never happen. Never ever happen.
Yeah.
But
Yep. No, I agree, and I will say this: like the offensive line is young, like it's young that like this stuff is going to happen, and sometimes you got to give Northern Illinois. I mean, Northern Illinois was by far the best football team like on the field that day. Like it wasn't gimmicky, it wasn't whatever. Notre Dame did not show up. Okay, did not show up, and Northern Illinois did. I said it to you guys. Northern Illinois. They returned 18 starters on that team. That's significant, right? But at the same time, they're not recruiting. Yeah, but they're not recruiting Notre Dame guys. Coach Hammock, he's a great coach. He spent some time in the NFL. He's got a good mind. I mean, he's went first season there. I don't think they won a game. Next season they won the MAC. So like he's a good coach, and so shout out to NIU because they deserve that win. And I guess. If you want to answer if any team could have done it, some people are telling me at least it was NIU. Like I'm getting DMs from people that don't even realize I'm a Notre Dame fan. They're like, "Oh, you're from DeKalb. Oh, congratulations." Nope, I'm a Notre Dame fan. They kicked our ass. Like it's not fun. So, but shout out to NIU, Notre Dame. Figure it out. And I tell you what, Marcus Freeman, you make one more mistake, you're out of here. It just has to be the truth.
I got one more quick thing. This is all I got to say. They had a timeout in their pocket, right? Notre Dame had a timeout in their pocket.
No,
Should have ran another
the
play.
TV said
Absolutely.
it did. The TV said they did, but I was listening to Marcus Freeman as press conference today, and he said that he used one defensively early in the second half, and then two on that drive. But I don't. Either way, they still should have run a quick little out to the sideline,
Something.
and at least make it a 56-yard field goal. Like, he had the leg for 62 if he gets a perfect if he kicks a perfect ball, and obviously he didn't, but whatever. So, but apparently he did not have a timeout. I listened to the press conference this morning. Apparently he did not have a timeout. So we'll see if that's true. Maybe he's lying. I mean, who knows? So, oh boy, we got a little frozen Johnny here.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, he's gone. We can get into your top 10 if you want. We'll get him back just like you left, and you're back. So
Let's get into this top 10. So I got my top 10 week. I had one last week. Didn't get to say it on here, which is fine. But some changes, obviously, with Notre Dame losing. I'm going to start at 10, and I want you, James. I want you to try to tell me the team. You as well, Johnny. We're getting into my top 10.
Yeah, sorry. Shout out Benyu again for freaking tanking my personal hotspot to use.
Shout out Benyu.
Johnny,
yeah,
I want you
to your top 10. Oh.
I haven't even started it. I want you to let me know what team you think is missing, what team you think should be in here, because there's one in here that's not. That could be. But I'm going to start at 10 with USC. That win over LSU, they deserve a spot in the top 10 in my personal opinion. I put them right in there at 10. At 9, I got Miami. Love Cam Ward, love the Canes. Great week 1 win. They have another test coming up in a couple weeks against Virginia Tech. At 8, I got Missouri. Again, they haven't really played anybody, but this is a team that I'm confident is going to be in this top 10 for most of the season. 7, I got Penn State. Impressive win week 1 in West Virginia. Smacked them around. Struggled a little bit with Bowling Green, but ended up pulling it out. At 6, I got Tennessee. What they did to NC State, who I thought was going to be a pretty good football team this year, is pretty impressive to me. They really dominated from start to finish. 60 minutes in that ball game wasn't even close. Tennessee looks really, really good. They have a quarterback. Tennessee has a legit quarterback, so watch out for the Vols. At 5, I got Ole Miss. They haven't played anybody. 4, I got Bama. Struggled a little bit with South Florida, but very confident in the Tide that they're going to be there most of the year. 3, I got Ohio State. You know how I feel about them. They're my national title pick. As of right now, they're the third best team in the country, in my opinion. At 2, I got Georgia. And 1, the best team in the country, in my opinion, is Texas. Now,
I like that. I agree. And I know who's missing, and I totally agree with you. And I'm so thankful you didn't put them in. And I wanted to talk about this game in Oregon, and I'm assuming that's the team we're talking about.
Yeah.
They are looking fraudulent. I mean, week 1, whatever. You get past Idaho. Cool. Now you got Boise State on the schedule. Besides a blue turf, which I'm not even sure they still have, that's all Boise State's got, okay? Boise State's quarterback, his name's Maddox Madison. I think that's how you say his name. It's the coolest name ever, right? He was 17 for 40, and they almost beat Oregon because they had a running back who went for 200 rushing yards. You are the University of Oregon. It's like, it can't happen. So I agree. I do like that you left Oregon out and put USC in. I do have Oregon at 11 still. I don't know where you had them, but I have to give USC the jump because they've looked impressive. And Oregon hasn't. So I agree with your rankings.
And my thing with
entirely.
My thing with Oregon right now is this. Right now, are they a top 10 team in the country? No, because based off the games they've played, they've really struggled against teams that they shouldn't be struggling. Shouldn't have even been a thought about. But I'm very high on them still. Moving forward, they have all the talent, all the pieces, and they could have easily lost that game to Boise State. Oregon could be in the same spot as Notre Dame right now. I'm sorry to bring it up, but they could be sitting here 1-1 and being in serious trouble, and they're not. So, which is why I'm still confident in them moving forward. But as of right now, they have not looked anything like a top 10 team in the country.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the thing with Oregon, first of all, the Boise State running back, I think is the best running back in the country.
Ashton
He's
Gentry.
he is
Ashton Gentry, yeah,
he's
he's tough.
he's unbelievable. That being said, man, Oregon was being talked about on the same level as Ohio State, Bama, and Texas coming this season. And frankly, their offensive line has not been good. They've not been able to run the ball consistently. And Dylan Gabriel going there was a big deal. But him being first place in preseason Heisman odds, I never got. There's a reason why Oklahoma didn't bring him back. Is because they thought Jackson Arnold was better. Like that says something. It's the same reason why with Avery Johnson at Kansas State and Will Howard moving on. That is a telling thing that shows that we think this guy's better. We don't need you. Tanner, you play the new college football game. You can suggest someone to transfer. I mean, that's literally what they did. And I don't disagree with you. I don't think Penn State should be 7. I think Penn State should have lost to freaking Bowling Green at home the other day.
Crazy.
But outside of that, I mean, I agree with everything. I would have Miami ahead of Penn State. I'd have Miami at 7, Penn State at 9. I'd flip those two. But outside of that, I mean, I don't hate not having Oregon. I mean, I might have Oregon 10, but I mean, it's nothing like, I'm mad Florida is in there. But outside of that, it's just I'm just kidding.
That win over Samford was inspiring.
Hey, DJ Lagway, 450 through the air.
Yes.
Come on.
And not going to start week 3.
You'll see. He'll play.
Is the absolute truth. I can tell you. I didn't even have – I at first thought when I started playing with Florida in the video game, I immediately put DJ Lagway in for Graham Mertz. I think the Gators need to rock with DJ Lagway the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll talk about him because I would love to see him against A&M. The Saturday.
He's going to play against A&M.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, DJ Lagway is the truth. I like him at QB1 for the Gators.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I refuse to talk about a Florida game over Samford. So we will move on to the NFL. We'll talk about more about Florida, Dad. Don't worry in the preview and prediction episode because they play A&M.
Yes, sir.
We will move on to the NFL, and I mean, I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you guys want to talk about the NFC North first and then talk about the games, or do you guys just want to talk about the games, or because I rudely interrupted you guys last time?
I'm fine with just going in the games because honestly, I can briefly discuss the NFC North when we talk about the Bears. So I'm not, I don't need to sit here and talk about the NFC North. I'd rather recap some of these games. We had some good games yesterday.
Yeah, there's no reason to talk about who's going to finish 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in this division. So
I would agree with that as well.
You know what I'm saying? So we'll get into the team that's gonna win the division when we talk about our beloved Bears. But yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you guys can start. You can go out. We can just start with the Bears. Go. You guys give your breakdown of the Bears game. The Bears win 24-17 without scoring a touchdown. So, I mean, you guys go ham.
I wanna go first so Tanner can go, but I also want to point out, I know this doesn't pertain to this podcast, but I'm playing my dad in fantasy football tonight, and I have Aaron Rodgers and George Kittle, and I'm down 28 points. And he has Christian McCaffrey, and he has officially just been ruled out. So shout out to
my aunt is texting me. Shout out to your guys. She's texting me right now because we have our own fantasy family league, and she doesn't know how to move a player. So I'm helping that problem.
Christian McCaffrey was ruled out.
He's not playing tonight. Yep, calf strain, I think. So, but anyway,
Tanner, those things will be self recovered. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I'll talk about Bears real quick. It's no secret. I've been telling my friends. I've been telling my family. I've been telling my work buddies. I do believe that the best part of this Chicago Bears team is the defense. I've told Tanner that. I've told you guys this. But I'm also so high on the Bears because if I think the best part of this Bears team is the defense, I do think the offense is very good too. That's why I think the team can be a very solid football team this season. It's week 1. Honestly, not many teams played well. Truthfully, a lot of teams played poor, very poor. And so when you look at this Bears win, you look at Will Levis, right? Will Levis, in my opinion, played a better football game than Caleb Williams. It could be, you guys might disagree, but besides 2 throws and a few mistakes, Will Levis was just, in my opinion, a little bit better than Caleb Williams. Now, I tell you what, I was telling Tanner I was upset with Caleb Williams for just, sometimes it felt like he'd have a 5-yard route and he'd throw the ball 140 miles an hour. I'm not saying the guy shouldn't have caught the ball, but it just seemed like he was a little jittery. I know he said he doesn't get nervous. He looked a little nervous out there. Again, he's 23 23 years old, 24 years old, playing in his first NFL game. I'm not going to take anything from him. But I'll tell you this, the way he bounced back and did all those post-game interviews, I'm more inspired now by this Bears team because he said it. He said, I didn't want this one to be my first one, but a win's a win. And it's hard to win games in the NFL. And I tell you what, it's even harder to win games in the NFL when you're wearing a C on your chest.
Yep.
Like the Bears just have tough time winning football games, and the defense stepped up. The defense, in my opinion, still didn't even play their best game. Like the defensive line wasn't even getting to Will Levis like an absurd amount, but the secondary is so quick and so fast that they made things super difficult for Will Levis. And so I really am inspired by this team. It's amazing to start 1-0. I was happy to watch the Bears again. It really was amazing, but I'm waiting for this offense to click, because if this offense clicks and the defense just remains solid, I'm going to tell you something. Watch out for the Chicago Bears. Like, I'm not just saying they're going to win 9 games. Like, if this offense starts clicking, they're going to win 12 football games. Like, watch out for the Bears.
Tanner, before you go, I'm going to say something, because you guys, as Tanner especially, is like drinking the Kool-Aid on the Bears. I think the Bears.
I'll drink it. I'm drinking it.
I think
I'm okay. I'm chugging it. I'm chugging the
guys,
Kool-Aid.
they beat the Titans. I mean, let's pump the brakes. I understand they didn't score a touchdown, and Tanner, you talked about yesterday, 1-0 is 1-0. But like, this defense looked good against Will Levis. I think Will Levis is a bottom 5 quarterback in the entire NFL. And I think the Bears have a good defense. I don't think the Bears defense is good enough to carry them for half a season until Caleb. And I'm not saying it's going to take half a season for Caleb Williams to show up, because I think he's too talented. Frankly, the Bears have too much skill, like too many good skill positions for it to take that long. But let's say through the first 12 weeks, you get 4 bad Caleb games, which happens as a rookie quarterback. Like, you cannot depend on that defense to win all 4 of those. And frankly, it's not going to happen, because the Bears play some tough teams coming up. And I'll be the realist when it comes to the Bears. I still think the Bears could very, very well win 10 games, because first of all, they play a 4th place schedule, which is part of the reason why they're playing the Titans, if I'm not mistaken. Or do they play the AFC South this year?
Play the AFC South. First 3
Okay,
games.
regardless, you guys played other teams. What that means is the Bucs got a 1st place schedule, so the Bucs go and play the Ravens. That's one of those games, and the Ravens are a top 3 team in football. The Bears, on their hand, because they finished in 4th, will play the Cardinals. I don't know if they do, but that would be a team that they play. And because of that, I think the Bears could win 10 games. But Tanner told me the other day the Bears are going to the Super Bowl. I told him a rookie quarterback paired with Matty Refuse will never win the Super Bowl, and I'm standing by that. And Tanner, I would be willing to make a very hefty wager with you that, and I could give you like 25-1 odds. Like, you win $100, I win $10 if the Bears win the Super Bowl, because I'm that confident that they will not. But
I'll take your 25-1.
1-0 is 1-0, Tanner. So I just want to give, in between the two like delusional takes, I will be the realist here. And sorry, Tanner, you can go.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, my expectation coming into this season was to make the playoffs and to compete for the division, for first place in the division. And when you look at week 1, you cannot lose at home to the Titans if you're expecting to be a playoff team. And the Bears won. So that, to me right there, I don't even care how anybody played, how the defense played, offense played. You have to win that game at home if you're going to be a playoff team. And they won it. And who knows? Maybe the Bears don't make the playoffs. But if they lost this game, I mean, we're talking totally different outlook on the whole entire season, losing at home to the Titans week 1. But to get into the actual game, very impressed with the defense. I thought the defensive line looked really, really good. They obviously gave up a couple drives in the first half where the Titans were just running the ball all over the Bears. I don't know how much I'm going to blame our defense for that, because our offense couldn't get in a rhythm. Our defense was on the field the whole entire first half. So, yeah, they are going to give up some points when that happens. Switching over to the other side of the ball, Caleb Williams didn't throw a pick. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't take a sack in the fourth quarter. Those are little things that matter in the NFL, especially late game situations like that in a tight game. And I thought late in the game, he stepped up and did what he had to do. He got first downs when he needed to get first downs. He got us into field goal range in situations to get points when we needed to get points. And he did just enough to win. Was his stat line good? No. Did he look good in the first half? No. I thought he was much improved in the second half. What I'm negative about offensively is the offensive play calling. You can't come out and run the ball on every single first down because it got to the point to where we were in 2nd and 13, 2nd and 14, every single drive. I mean, the Bears were just getting behind the sticks every single drive. Yeah, you're not going to get an offensive rhythm when the first play of the drive is a 3-yard loss on a run play. Like the offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, is brand new, first year here, and my goodness, he needs to let Caleb Williams go out and play because handing the ball off on every first down and most second downs is not going to win the Bears very many football games offensively. So very frustrated in the offensive play calling. I will say Caleb Williams, he did look nervous. Part of that's at home. I mean, being at home, yeah, you'd think that helps. No, you have 62,000 fans that have been waiting a lifetime for a quarterback like Caleb Williams. There's going to be a lot of nervous energy in that stadium, a lot of tension, a lot of, you know what I mean? Like the pressure is high in that moment, which is why I think going into Sunday night and playing on the road is going to be really good for Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be more locked in. There's not going to be as much pressure on him on the road. It's a game they're not projected to win, so go out and ball, like just go out and play. So very excited though. Glad the Bears got the win. Can't wait for Sunday night. I think this can be a great season, and I'm not, to be quite frank with you, I'm not too worried about the offense right now. It's going to click pretty quickly, I would imagine.
I will say, Tanner has a very non-delusional Bears take. I do think the expectation for the Bears should be to make the playoffs and compete for the division. But I think the interior of the Bears' offensive line is like horrifically bad. I don't know if you guys notice the same thing, but I feel like there's a lot of interior pressure coming in on Caleb Williams. And shout out to Theo Ash, he's a guy on TikTok. He did a whole breakdown on it, just on how bad the interior offense line is for the Bears. And like you kind of notice it on TV watching the game, like wow, like he's pressured a lot and kind of but and it's like, for example, the throw he missed to Keenan Allen down the sideline, the left guard got beat immediately and got pushed right into Caleb's belly, and it's like, oh, as a fan, you just see the missed ball down the left side. You don't see that. Who's the rookie from Texas? Sweat is it something?
Andre Sweat.
Just obliterated whoever the left guard is and was in Caleb's lap, but. I do agree, Tanner. A win's a win. 1-0 is 1-0. You know, it was also 1-0, the freaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They went in and put the Commanders just through the grinder. And I will say, I talked about in the preview, I think it was a huge thing. I said the Bucs upgraded an offensive coordinator, and they did. Liam Cohen came in, and the most important thing he did was put Chris Godwin back in the slot. And I said on this podcast, Chris Godwin was going to catch 1,300 yards and catch 10 touchdowns. Well, he had 8 for 83 and a touchdown in week 1. He converted 4 straight first downs at a point. Just a third down machine. The Bucs ran it. Bucky Irving. I told you guys again, Bucky Irving was going to be a good piece. The thing about the Bucs, they lost 4 defensive backs in the game. Antoine Winfield is out for 2 or 3 weeks with a sprained ankle. Bryce Hall, their free agency guy from the Jets, he's out for the season. He broke his leg. They're starting quarter, Zion McCollum, concussion. He's out for a week at least. And they lost their third depth guy. So they go to Detroit this week. And they're missing their 2, 3, and 4 corners and their best defensive player in Antoine Ford Jr., who might have been the best non-pass rusher out of any defensive player a year ago. That's how dominant he was. He was first team All-Pro. So I don't need to go in as deep on the Bucs because I believe they do what they need to do. I think the Bucs will win 10 games and win that division, but I just think maybe this can transition us into another game. And us three especially talked a lot about this game, how the Browns gave up on Baker, traded him to Carolina. Baker bounced around 4 different teams, and then they go give Deshaun Watson the second worst contract maybe in American sports right now, and the first one being Daniel Jones, and we'll get into that later as well. And then Baker Mayfield is now like legitimately maybe a tier and a half ahead of how good Deshaun Watson is, and that's not just a week 1 overreaction; it's just a fact at this point. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about that Cowboys game or any other game that you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys game was one that we watched to start together, and when we first got there, we were like, Johnny, you were mainly making fun of Dak's contract, right?
I'll still make fun of it.
Which is fair.
Giving a singular player that's not Patrick Mahomes $60 million a year, I think is complete. I mean, it's bad business. That's just going to come bite you then. I don't care that Dak had a good first week. I mean, that is bad business.
Micah Parsons is the odd man out in Dallas.
Which is insane because he's your best player. He is your best player. I think CeeDee Lamb is unbelievable. But Cal, I mean, you can pick wide receivers off trees that can go play in the NFL right away. You can't find edge rushers every day. Edge rushers and left tackle are stuff that you don't mess with in the NFL. And the Cowboys have a generational one. And right now, Tanner, you're right. He's the odd man out because you go out and you don't just make Dak the highest paid quarterback. You give him $5 million more than who's in second place right now just because he wanted $60 million. I don't care they hit a good week one. Dak Prescott at best is the 10th best quarterback in the NFL, and you're paying him like he's Patrick Mahomes. He's nowhere near Patrick Mahomes. It just blows my mind.
Well, and that was the thing. Like, he had a good first half. But Dak didn't play exceptionally well week one.
$60 million.
That's the thing. Like in the first quarter, I was looking at Johnny like, hey, I mean that's $60 million, right? But then it keeps going, and you're like, oh, here he is. This is Dak, right? This is Dak. So the Cowboys, though, like, I mean, are they going to be world beaters? No, but this is a team that I still think is going to win some games. Like offensively, CeeDee Lamb is one of my favorite wide receivers to watch. Yeah. Zeke looks slim. Like Zeke looks maybe not back, but he's going to be
hurdled a guy in the first play of the game.
Exactly. He's going to be a functioning running. He's going to be a functioning running back for the Cowboys. So if they can get, here's the thing, if they can get a $45 million quarterback out of Dak, they're going to be a good team. Like truthfully. So I mean, we'll see. The Browns, though, yikes. I mean, just a big yikes. That game
was surprising, man. I picked the Browns to be the worst team in football.
But it's just still, it's just like Deshaun, bro. Like
so bad.
I think he threw the ball 42 times
and did not complete a pass more than 15 yards down the field. That's never happened before in an NFL game.
Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones are in a generational battle for worst contract in the NFL. I mean, we're talking two guys that are laying everything out there on the line to be considered the worst contract in the NFL. This is a race that I'm interested to watch the whole season. Who can be worse? Who's the favorite right now? I don't know.
Daniel Jones is. Daniel Jones is so horrifically bad.
But the Browns have a way better team than the Giants. So
that is very true.
Take that in consideration.
But Daniel Jones having more pick sixes than touchdowns thrown since he signed that contract, like that is a real stat that Daniel Jones has thrown more pick sixes than touchdowns since he signed that contract. I mean, yes,
that's an incredible stat.
The Browns are better, but they're not that much better. Like Malik Neighbors is an alien, and they have him now, and they still got other pieces that can make them competent. And they went out in the offseason and completely rebuilt their offensive line. Like we talked about Caleb Williams getting pressure in from the inside. Daniel Jones had a lot of time to throw, and he is just not a good NFL quarterback. And I don't know if it's the GM that's there now because I actually like him because I watched the Hard Knocks with the Giants on him. I think he's a smart guy. Whoever gave him that contract, I mean, oh my goodness. I imagine being Daniel Jones' agent and like getting that call and going to Daniel Jones and saying, like, look, I just got you $140 million. Like, Daniel Jones probably punched him in the face, saying, like, no, like, don't trick me. Like, oh my goodness. Just bad. Oh, talk about bad business.
Deshaun Watson, like, you can make the case that he's a better person than quarterback right now, which is really impressive. It's really
what a take.
Really impressive.
That will be clips. That will be.
Well,
clips.
I don't know because I just saw that the sexual assault thing that he did, not related to the massages, is coming back to light again right now. And if I'm the Browns are probably the people that leaked it, so they can get out of this contract.
Man, we're gonna get canceled. Banter Banter's gonna get canceled.
Literally. Oh my goodness.
It's fire. That's fire. That's a good take though. I like the take. He's so bad at quarterback. So bad.
I mean, you throw the ball 40 times and in the last 10 minutes you're playing prevent defense and you can't complete a ball 15 plus yards. I mean, oh my goodness. But
you guys want to talk about bad? I want to talk about bad real quick.
Cincinnati Bengals?
The Cincinnati Bengals are bad. Like,
oh my goodness.
What in the world? Like, here's the thing. Jamar in the press conference, like, was so pissed off. And, like, he had 6 receptions, but he was only targeted 6 times, and they lost. And he literally was asked by a reporter, like, so, like, what's going on? You know, yeah. He's like, I don't know. Talk to the offensive coordinator.
You know why he doesn't know? Because he hasn't been at freaking practice. I don't want to hear this crap. Yeah. If I'm a GM and maybe I'm old school, and you got 2 years left on your deal, and you're trying to come up to me and get paid, I'm looking at you. I'm sending you right back down to practice. Oh my
I'm so
goodness,
annoyed with this.
and I'm saying
I need to get paid, bull.
And I'm saying you want to bet on yourself. If it's 1 year, I get it. You're telling me you got 2 more years on your deal. You want to go bet on yourself? I'm saying, okay, go bet on yourself. I won't pay you your game check if you won't play, and you won't get the $4 million you're guaranteed next year and the $12 million you get on your 5th-year option. So that's why freaking Jamar Chase doesn't know what's going on. He hasn't been there for most of the camp. He was there for the last 5 games. I will say about the Bengals, though, I mean, they start every year so bad, and the year that they made the back-to-back AFC Championship games, they started like 1-4 in the second one where they lost to the Chiefs, not the one that made the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to hit the panic button on the Bengals, but I agree with you, James. I think they were the most underwhelming team in week 1 because the Patriots are the worst team in the NFL, in my opinion. And then you lost them at home. At home. And it's just inexcusable from a team that honestly should be their only goal should be winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Real quick, I would like to talk about another quarterback that got paid this offseason, who I think is an absolute merchant for passing yards and stats based off the receiving core he has. Tua is so bad. I mean, I watched a good amount of that Dolphins game, and they got lucky to win that. Very, very lucky. But the amount of times
we watched all of that game.
The amount of times that I see him overthrow an open Tyreek Hill or an open Jalen Waddle, like this, Tua is another quarterback that I think is very overrated, simply because he has an unbelievable roster, and that's that. I mean, that I just want to say Tua is overpaid.
I agree with you. And by the way, I think it's less surprising that Tyreek Hill legitimately got arrested and then caught a touchdown in an NFL game than Deshaun Watson playing that bad. Like that's how bad Deshaun Watson is. Like,
right. You're like, duh. Yeah, Tyree got arrested. He had 7 catches for 130 yards. Makes sense.
28 fantasy points and a tutty.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Checks
out. I don't disagree with you, Tanner. But Anthony Richardson, by the way, is an alien. You guys see that throw? He might not he might miss the intermediate throws and the 15-yard curl route that you got to hit on time. Might not hit those. You need a ball to travel 62 yards in the air and hit a guy in stride. He's your guy. I mean, that was
right over left. Right over left.
Come on, baby. Arms locked at the elbows.
If he's not on the United States flag football team next to Olympics at quarterback.
Oh my God.
Facts.
Him and Lamar. Like, what are we doing? Oh, you guys got me riled up.
I would prefer Colin Kaepernick personally.
What are we doing here? Oh my God.
That's just my personal opinion.
Oh my goodness. You guys got me riled up.
A 40-year-old Colin Kaepernick.
Hey, he's still in shape, guys.
He's still trying out for teams. I feel like every night.
He's been.
I go on Twitter and I go on Twitter and he had a tryout with whoever, like every single night.
Guys, I work out every day, so if any NFL team wants to hit my line, trust me, I'm in shape. I run. He
has perfect knees. Johnny has perfect knees.
No. You guys need to supply me with a brace, but I'll tell you one thing: I'm in shape. I'll get there. But you guys got me riled up. You're lucky Florida didn't lose this week, or else this would have been a heck of a podcast. I'd have been throwing things. But they'll probably lose next week, so stay tuned for next Tuesday's episode because
probably not. A&M sucks.
Florida is even worse. But any other none other games kind of stuck out. The 4:00 window was pretty sleepy.
Frustrated the Lions won. That would have been huge for the Bears just at the start to have the Lions 0-1.
But I'll tell you, Amon-Ra 13 yards.
Not good.
It's not
good.
Not the best, man.
Only 5 targets.
That's very true. But I'll tell you one thing. The Lions play 13 games in a dome this year. That's why I picked them to win the North. I mean, that is just such a huge advantage for Jared Goff. Another guy that got paid, who I think is such an average quarterback to slightly above average. And we're paying these guys $54 million. Oh, my goodness. Give me $54 million. I guarantee you I have a positive interception to touchdown ratio. I guarantee you I play better than Deshaun Watson.
I don't know.
I'm not guaranteeing any of that.
I agree with Tom Brady. The league's watered down. The league is watered down. Tom Brady's right.
It is. But anyway, we're gonna cut it there. Fun episode. I mean, we got Colin Kaepernick into this episode. That's how you know it was a good episode.
And Tanner said Deshaun Watson's a good person.
Technically, we should just clip that part.
Yeah, you can mark clips, I guess, on Riverside. I only have one thing marked, and it's Tanner saying Deshaun Watson's a good person.
It's completely out of context, but shit, TikTok won't know that.
We'll do anything to blow up.
Hey, guys, anything. I would do anything for 10 subscribers. So
yeah,
do you need me to do the hot wing challenge? If we get 10 subscribers, hot wing challenge. But anyway, speaking of subscribers, if you guys made it this far, might as well subscribe. If you made it through the Colin Kaepernick and Sean Watson jokes, you should probably leave a comment at that point too. But again, subscribe, leave a like. We will be back on either Thursday or Friday to do our predictions. Until then, we'll see you then.
Peace.
Peace out.